Hello.
Hello.
It's a lovely evening, isn't it? I have to be honest with you, I was in two minds about whether or not to come here and do this tonight. I've been feeling really insecure. I found some saggy skin on my knees, and people have said, oh, it doesn't matter, you're always as young as you feel. And I think that works really well till you're about 35. Then at some point after that, you wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and there's some disgusting old person looking back. And you realise why your special parts seem to have lost the broad appeal they once had. Why they've become something you just wash in the shower. In the vain hope that someday they'll become interesting again to someone. So you keep everything clean. But why bother? When a persistent yeast infection is as much action as you're going to get. And realistically, a visit to your doctor for a pap smear or a swab test is a big day out for your vagina. So, if disease is the only way you're going to get someone down there, make the most of it. Just think of it as outsourcing your personal pleasure to the medical professional. Go to your doctor and say, I've got an itch. And if you like the way they touch you, tell them you've got sore breasts. And you can make it interesting for the doctor as well. Put something special up there before your appointment. A piece of chocolate. Maybe some fake warts. Or even a copy of your resume. There's just so many things that you can do. And it's not just for women. Maybe a prostate examination can deliver the same joy for a man. And you might be at a time in your life where you're thinking, is anal sex for me? Try it out in a safe environment first. Go to your doctor and say, I've got an itch. And then, rather than be revolted while they're putting the glove on, just change your focus a bit and think, this person thinks I'm hot. And try and squeeze a bit of enjoyment out of it. Eventually, it'll become second nature. And it's all a good reason to go doctor shopping. Get more bang for your buck. And if you find someone who bulk bills, the government pays for a lot. The other really good thing is that there's no obligation whatsoever. You don't even have to clean your teeth or bathe, and they'll never tell you that you smell. The only thing you have to remember is not to show that you're excited, because that'd be wrong. Which brings me to masturbation. Imagine being a failed masturbator. You'd be the ultimate sad fuck. And you know God watches you masturbating? He's omniscient. How do you think he feels about watching millions of people fingering themselves every day? Putting things up their bums? And how many people a day do you think put their own finger up their own bum? God has to watch that. So you'd think that if God created everything, he must have known that people would be into it. So maybe the world is God's private porn show. Heaven's actually the dress circle, and all your dead relatives are in the front row. Watching. So we're all porn stars or just a big bunch of wankers? Either way, if you were a considerate sort of a person, you'd put on a bit of a show for God and the dead people, even if you weren't really into it. Do you think God's ever put his finger up his own bum? Maybe someone else's? Grandma's? Does God have granny poo under his fingernails? I'm sorry, I know that was disgusting. I hope it wasn't my grandmother. If you're having trouble getting a poo out, from your bum that is, not from your fingernails, I can't help you with that kind of filth. Try colonic irrigation. I did. I paid some woman $90 to squirt water up my ass for an hour. I didn't enjoy it, and I hope she didn't either. I mean, you wouldn't want to be in a situation like that where the other person was enjoying it, would you? And what do you say to someone who's got a hose up your bum? Nice day for it. And you really do have to wonder where the motivation to start a colonic irrigation clinic comes from in the first place. Is it a calling? Some kind of fetish, maybe? Or is it a secret work for the doll scheme? Who really wants to do that for a living, voluntarily, every day? Anyway, moving back to the front bottom. You know, women across the world are being encouraged to fix up their unsightly vaginas. It's true. Labiaplasty is a growth industry, and they call vaginal makeovers rejuvenations and beautifications. It's like backyard blitz for the bush. You send the family away for the weekend, and when they get back, they get to see your new designer vagina. There are even specialists in vaginal modification and entire vaginal rejuvenation clinics. You can be revirginated too. That comes with a deforestation package. The Virgin Bush Retreat, somewhere in Brazil. But how do you know that you've got an unsightly vagina in the first place? Apart from a general lack of interest, maybe. Do you take it around and show people? If they run, you know you've got some kind of a problem. It might be easier if you had a photo. That way you could email it to your friends. Or anyone you like, really. The Prime Minister, whoever that is. Someone you fancy, or your neighbours. And you can check it out yourself, but you need a mirror, a good crisis management plan, and a benchmark. So I look at pictures on the internet. They're befores and afters, and they all look pretty gross, especially the afters. And they all looked the same. They're all modelled on the same vagina. So whose is it? You can go to a plastic surgeon and say, I want a nose like Kate Moss, but a vagina like... They don't give you much choice. It's a bit like an election. At the end of the day, they all look the same, so which cunt do you choose? Anyway, back at the clinic. The main thing they do is cut all the unsightly bits off. Now, these are called labia, and they're becoming obsolete. And you've got two sets of labia. They chop the inner ones off, and the outer ones, or flaps, if you want to get technical. They vacuum the fat out of those and tighten up any flapping hang bits. And it'll cost you thousands of dollars. So if you're going to spend that much money tarting up your fanny, why not do something interesting? Get some little tentacles put on. Or a real pair of lips. You could have a secret entrance installed. Or just somewhere to put your loose change. And what do they do with all the labia afterwards? Do you get to keep them? You could make some earrings. Or have them stitched onto your ass. Or your forehead. Turn them into some John Howard eyebrows. Or you could make pate. And have a dinner party to launch your new twat. But maybe they just chuck them out. I just imagine this huge pile of discarded labia, like the European Butter Mountain. And it seems like such a waste. You know, they could turn it into stock feed, but there'd be a risk of mad cunt disease. Thank you very much. Sorry for